he's had to come from a set down in both of them. First met in Beijing in China in 96 on a carpet court, 167, 664, and then 97 in Cincinnati on a hard court. Kuerten 167, 63, and 6-4. But I don't think he's entitled to call Spadea his pigeon, despite the presence of the pigeon on top of the American flagstaff. Very cheeky. Just a little breeze, and the players will welcome that. But I think they'd be thinking to themselves, well, if I can win this one and not have to play a marathon, Fitix must be pretty shattered when he comes out to play tomorrow, and for sure that will be the first of the two semi-finals, given that they're playing the two quarters from the bottom half first. Enjoy that one, Drew?
Yes, I did. You know, it's the sort of match that can be boring, but I thought it was better than that. I thought both players were going for their shots most of the time. Inevitably, it's a case of, you know, two Spaniards meeting one another, because they are all really such fine exponents on clay. So you're bound to get a bit of a stalemate. But it was brighter than stale.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Vince Spadea, well, what a story. This is his first time here in Monte Carlo, and he surprised everyone. He beat Carlo and then Francisco Clavet. We can see a little bit of that. The really sole American representing his country here, with Todd Martin, Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras all pulling out, and he's really enjoying his first trip here.
Very excited. I'm having a great tournament. It's my first time in Monte Carlo, so I've adapted well to the courts and the scenery, and I'm enjoying myself. I've beaten good players on hard courts, so now I've shown that I'm playing well on clay, beating top players, and it's just a matter of you know, working hard and just doing the right thing, and you know, I'm concentrating well too.
But now a terrific test of the Americans' clay court skills against the 1997 French Open champion, Gustavo Kuerten.
He's had many wins on clay, and you know, any match, you know, anything can happen. So I try my best, and we'll see, you know, what's going to go on.
And here is the man facing Vince Spadea today, Gustavo Kuerten, back into the top 20 at number 19, compared with Vince Spadea, who's at a career high of 33. And it's good to see that one of the Americans, not one of the top-ranked ones, or I suppose one of the middle-ranking Americans, has really dedicated himself to come on and come over here early and play the clay court season and take on the great clay courters like Kuerten.
Yes, well, Spadea's got the sort of game, hasn't he, to do well, really, on most surfaces, and I think particularly clay. He's got the sort of game, really, which would suggest that he'd almost been brought up in it. There is quite a bit of clay in Florida, particularly in southern Florida, and it'd be interesting, really, to know whether Spadea spent a lot of his formative years on the stuff. Probably not, because you play on it if there's an incentive, if you go on and play clay court tournaments, which much of the American circuit used to be devoted to clay. Particularly leading up to the US Open, and of course at one stage the US Open itself changed to clay as a result of the fact that the tournaments preceding it were on the surface.
So there, Gustavo Kuerten has beaten two of his fellow countrymen this week, and also the big match against Bodan Olirak on what was then the covered court. Hard to believe that we had rain here during the week, such as the gloriousness of the sunshine. Spadea was brought up in Chicago, born in Chicago, and as you can see now living in Boca Raton, one of the lovely resorts on the east coast of Florida as opposed to the Gulf Coast. Quarterfinalist this year at the Australian Open, lost there to Tommy Haas, and has also reached the last 16 in Barcelona and Estoril. So he's made a good start to his sojourn on the clay. Normally Americans don't appear on European clay until Monte Carlo, but he took the decision, as did Todd Martin, who sadly had to pull out of this tournament, to come over here early and really grind it out He started against Roger Federer, the world junior champion from Switzerland, and then two terrific wins. Carlo Kuerten's form on clay can be a little up and down, but I must confess, when I looked at the lineup for the last 16, I marked Francisco Clavet as a clear winner against Vince Spadea and got that one horribly wrong. And we've been you've been talking about Sebastian Grosjean looking like Vince Spadea, and now we can say, well, Vince Spadea looks like Sebastian Grosjean, but similar of height. Obviously Spadea a bit taller, a bit older, but the way they move, the way they dress, and the way they hit the ball is quite similar.
Yes, I think so. They're people who tend to play a fairly sort of hunched two-handed shot, very effective two-handed shot, very good hands, they're very quick acceleration through the shot, a very typical modern Western forehand, big forehand, the pair of them, very quick. Grosjean probably a little quicker, but then he has to be, he's a few inches taller, shorter than Spadea. So Spadea with the extra height, with perhaps a little bit more power. I say perhaps because Grosjean's impressed with his power, and particularly on the serve. I'm not sure, in fact, whether he hasn't got an even more powerful serve than Spadea. The ability for Spadea to hit with power is there, but of course he doesn't always choose to. He's one of these men who believes in a high percentage of first serves, and therefore his number of aces struck are somewhat lower. But it's not an easy match to pick this, except that you would ordinarily say that Kuerten, given his clay court background, given his French Open title, starts the favourite. But Spadea's got the sort of game that if Kuerten's just a little off form, and Kuerten's form up until this has been a little in and out, so one can't rest assured that Kuerten's going to show us his best. If he doesn't, it's the sort of match that Spadea intent on doing well here, could well upset Kuerten.
Stefan Apostolou, one of France's top officials, as was François Parot for the first match. Of course, in addition to his tournament play, Gustavo Kuerten in magnificent form for Brazil in the Davis Cup victory over Spain in Spain, beating both Moya and Kuerten without dropping a set in the singles, and combining with Meligeni for what was the decisive point in the end in the doubles. That was a tremendous performance by the 22-year-old from Florianopolis. So if I got that right through, Kuerten one spin of the coin and chose to receive.
He did, yes.
Spadea to start then.
Yes, it was Meligeni who started serving in his match against Kuerten. Kuerten was able to break him right off the bat. Well, that's the sort of positive shot that is nice to make early in a match, because of course it sends messages to the opponent: don't keep the ball too short, otherwise you might get hammered.
Yeah, very confident start by Vince Spadea, who's here with his father, Vincent Sr. As his coach. He's had one or two coaches through the years. He's worked a bit with Elliot Telscher, Rob Sacuso and Nick Saviano. And also with William Mary Pierce's father for a brief time. Fine opening game by the American. As he held serve to 15.
Well, it couldn't have been a better start by him, could it? Because he's been put into bat by Kuerten. He's come up with the goods, and now, of course, the pressure on the man who won the spin of the coin in the first place, Kuerten, to come up with something similar. He lost his serve just the once against Milojany, that in the second set, but had to save a couple of break points in the first.
So good news from court one. Tim Henman and Olivier Delettre going along nicely in the first set of their quarter-final of the doubles against Andrea Gaudenzi and Diego Narciso from Italy. Henman and Delettre, who got together very much at the last moment. Fabrice Santoro, Olivier's regular partner, ruled out of the tournament by some back problems, and Olivier scratching around for a partner. Said to Tim, fancy a hit?
Spadea, one of these men who likes to take the ball pretty early, sort of Bollettieri school type player. Just behind the baseline for the first serve, but moves just within the court. He'll move to take the second.
I was just thinking Kuerten might like to explore the forehand wing of the American a little more. Both had really fine junior careers. Spadea was number 4 in the world in juniors in '92. Kuerten number 6 in the world in juniors in '94.
Spadea might just have to keep a better length himself. Perhaps try and concentrate on it initially. And with his ability to take the early ball, these are opportunities for him on the Kuerten second serve. In fact, that may well govern the match, Spadea's ability to take advantage of second serves. Kuerten's percentage against Milojany was 43% first serves in, which if he repeats that here should be punished really.
Yes, so far 5 points played, no first serves from Gustavo Kuerten.
Well, it almost worked, didn't it? Spadea almost faking that he'd given up the point, really, having made an iffish return, and almost played himself back into the point once Kuerten hadn't put away that forehand.
Late but correct.
Well, surprising choice of shot, I thought, by Spadea. I think he'd have been better off letting that bounce and then really letting the two-hander by choosing to play the low volley. He's really given Kuerten the opportunity to get back into time, hasn't played it with great power. Not able to, of course, being so low. It was a match of quite a few service breaks against Kluivert. Spadea lost his serve once in the first set, 3 times in the second, and then again in the final set.
Well, we saw some very effective drop shotting in the opening match. Except towards the end, Albert Costa rather overdid it. It'll be interesting to see if either of these two fall into the trap.
Yes, he may want to stay clear of the Kuerten forehand, really. Kuerten backhand. Try and address the forehand a little more often.
First break points. Kuerten takes advantage and moves into a 2-games-to-1 lead. Still to come, of course, today we've got Carlos Moya against Jérôme Golmar, the new French #1. He officially declared that on Monday. And the last quarter-final today is that of Mark Philippoussis against Marcelo Rios. Spadea, as I say, at a career high of 33 in the rankings. Just reached one career final so far, and that was on clay last year in St. Pölten in Austria. You were also a quarter-finalist last year in Adelaide and Washington and Cincinnati. Gustavo Kuerten last year winning 2 clay court titles, Stuttgart and Mallorca, and indeed all 3 of his career titles, the other one of course being the French Open, have come on clay, but he's proved himself on other surfaces too. Serving at 2-1.
Well, he's getting rocked a little bit, is Spadea, isn't he? Kuerten's big drives, those long arms of his, which of course produces a fair amount of power.
Well, an intended stop volley going horribly wrong.
Yes, probably as a result of a good run of play, feeling pretty good and just trying to be a bit too special. Laid back.
That's certainly special.
Well, Kuerten also did his best here. Terrific backhand down the line, then shaping, giving himself plenty of room so that Spadea would not be able to judge whether he was going to play a hard drive or not.
First ace.
Served the 5 in his 2-set match against Melageni. And he looks about as good at the start of a match as he's done, certainly the matches that we've covered, those against Ulirach and Melageni. Really middling the ball. Has really put the onus on Spadea, of course, to perhaps try and hit the ball even harder, which can be fatal.
A little ambitious, that angle.
See, trying to do two things once, trying to play the shot and move to the centre to cover the next shot from Spadea.
Yes, a little wayward spell from the Brazilian. No wonder he's scratching his head. He's catched by Larry Passos.
Brilliant point, really, because it was a good example of the Spadea two-hander. Look how close he is when he hits the ball very close to his body. And playing to the weaker wing of Kuerten, you wouldn't have thought so.
Spadea then stops the little sequence of games against him. But it's Kuerten who still has the advantage, leading 3-2 with the break of serve. I always think it's tough for any players coming out after a really classic contest, because the crowd is inevitably taking a deep breath. Many of them gone out to get a bite of grub. And it's all a little quiet, isn't it, at the start of this one?
Yes, that's right. It's like encountering a bit of a flat Coke or something like that. Flat champagne, perhaps, in your case. But you're right. Two difficulties for them. The crowd's a little flat, because, as you say, they've been out here so long. And also, of course, not really knowing, as we look at the doubles match in progress on court 1, Cardenzi and Narciso broken back. These two never sure when they were going to get on, because it certainly looked as if they were going to get on at least 3/4 of an hour earlier, perhaps 14 minutes earlier, when Costa looked as if he was going to win in 2. And suddenly, of course, they have to wait a lot longer. What to do in the ensuing 3/4 of an hour.
Sergei Bubka, the pole vaulter. Not carrying a pole, but a sunshade. 3-2. Second ace. Spadea trying to seize the initiative, taking that very early ball.
Well, he's no mean all-rounder, is Kuerten, and really that was a terrific reaction and really fairly illustrative, really, of the tremendous reach he's got, let alone the reflex skills. He and Nicholas Lepenti winning a doubles tournament in Adelaide earlier this year. Actually reached the quarters of the Australian doubles too, but withdrew because of Lepenti's advance in the singles tournament.
Two aces from both of them now.
Spadea served just the one in the long match against Quartas. Hour and 50 minutes they played.
It's such a sweet shot, the Kuerten backhand. We look at it from the reverse angle, the C end. Well, he made up for a terrible drop shot with a drive volley from what? A couple of feet inside the baseline?
Yes, terrific bit of anticipation here by Spadea. As you say, the drop shot certainly wasn't a good one, but he seemed to know exactly where Kuerten was going to play the next. Kuerten, I imagine, felt that he had a lot of open court and that even if Spadea did move, that he'd be able to whip the ball by him. Well, I think he might have done it with his backhand, but his forehand, he can't really rely on pinpoint accuracy. Important game, really, for Spadea to win, because he's at times taken a bit of hammering from Kuerten. And 2-5, I think the head may have just been shaking a little more, but one break behind, still hope.
5-all in the first set of that doubles quarter-final. Henman and Deletra against Gaudenzi and Narciso. Kuerten once again struggling with the first serve percentage, but the big difference is that he's winning 75% of points behind his second serve, and Spadea only 57.
Yes, the key really to Kuerten's win against Meligeni was phenomenal ability to win points in his first serve. I think he won something like 26 of 28 points in his first serve, which is outstanding.
4-3 and serving. New balls.
He becomes such a good player. He really rises 10-15% as a player if he serves consistently, Kuerten, because he's going to serve hard anyway. He's got the height, he's got the technique. But you can see there just the rhythm he has. Even though Spadea makes a good return, just the fact that he's got that first serve in means a sort of a rolling momentum, and immediately he's on and playing a much better shot, is Kuerten, on the second shot.
Well, must have caught the outside edge of the line. I confess I thought it was going to miss. Heck of a return.
Well, that's really given Spadea an opportunity, because Not a well-disguised drop shot. Spadea had all the time even to get the second hand to play the two-hander.
Pity. Taken advantage of the second serve, but not a good way. Not an easy one either. One of the shooters.
Yes. He hit it with power, but that really didn't rise at all. Still, I think if he's going to hit hard on the return, which he should be if it's a second serve, that's the better side to go to.
Well played, well defended, and then well counter-attacked.
Yes, the good defence of Spadea. Thought that effort by him, although good, would have presented Kuerten with an easy chance. This didn't hit with quite enough depth, but at the same time, a lovely accurate forehand from Spadea. So easy to get rushed a little bit off your feet with a man coming in. Eye him rather than the ball.
Straight as a die, that backhand down the line. It had to be. If it had deviated at all, it was going out.
An unusual shot by Spadea, really, at the end of the run, rather than trying to chop the ball back.
Clever change there from Kuerten, putting in the big kicker and coming in behind it. At 3-5 after 26 minutes, Spadea serving to stay in the opening set.
Kuerten's racket 95 square inch face. Spadea's 110, slightly bigger headed racket.
Sweet play.
Interesting change of tactic by Spadea, lobbing the ball back, and Kuerten doing the brave thing, really. It's hitting it before it bounces, taking the drive volley, rushing Spadea.
Break point and set point. "28 minutes, the opening set. Always likely to be a much quicker match than the first one, this. And Kuerten looking full value for the opening set, which he wins by 6 games to 3. The statistics: the unforced errors, they're not much to choose between them, but 16 winners from Kuerten to just 10 from Spadea.
Yes, and Kuerten really looking full value. Big question for Spadea, of course. With Kuerten breaking the serve, he gets his own way, starts serving beginning of the set under your belt. It's a good edge to do a bit more of that, play a bit riskier tennis. I can't see him taking up a defensive attitude against Kuerten.
There won't be much of an advantage to serve first if you promptly go and lose your serve.
No, that's right. A little bit of a miss hit here by Spadea, but just enough control on it. Brought the smile from Kuerten.
Spadea really rising to the challenge now. 3 break points.
Well, Spadea almost at his best, taking the ball even earlier and really cracking it, even though he may be going to the strength. Such a class approach shot, really, that he has a lot of scope for the volley.
Oh, wonderful play. And Spadea recovers from the loss of the first set by breaking to love at the start of the second. It's a terrific effort.
Well, a little rocked Kuerten. But the advantage, of course, of serving first is that even though you get broken, you're never actually too far behind. In other words, 2-3 as opposed to 1-4, that sort of thing. But perhaps the right approach by Spadea this, and I'm sure he has to play with more aggression, because he's almost been schooled that way. It's the way Spadea would have played a lot of his formative tennis, is standing inside the baseline, blasting away. And I think in order to do that, or by doing that, you actually bring the best out in Spadea. Because if he took up a defensive mode against Kuerten, I think it would be playing against his character, and it would be difficult to sustain that sort of form. And in any case, Kuerten has the ability too to take the ball in early, and of course he's got a lot of power himself, so that with Spadea blazing away, and hopefully successfully as in that last game, it could be quite a spectacle yet.
Incidentally, in the doubles, Henman and Delettre against Garenzi Nargis. They've gone into a first set tiebreak. In fact, it looks as if Henman and Delettre have just won it. Isn't that supposed to be a guy down the far end?
Yeah, it's waiting for his double spotter to get this one. Well, the advantage in this set seems to be returning.
Yeah, it's now 8 successive points against the serve, and all 6 in the set against it.
Talking about Spadea's doubles squad. Now, he's been around the world and won a doubles tournament, his first title, in fact, on the ATP Tour in 95 in Buenos Aires with Christopher Rensburg. Also won with Mark Merklein and Santapari in Tashkent. So he's done some travelling from Buenos Aires to Tashkent in order to pick up his titles.
Well, he's mixing it up intelligently, isn't he, Spadea? One loopy one harder flat drive.
Yes, certainly giving something for Kuerten to think about. Intelligent play just a while back with Kuerten kicking him out wide and lofting the return so that he could get back into court.
Just long.
Beautiful day for the game. I've worked up a bit of a sweat because the rally's suddenly a fair bit longer, but almost ideal. Still a crispness in the air, not too much humidity.
Well, at love 30, you thought Kuerten was going to break straight back. Not a bit of it. And complete transformation at the start of the second set.
That's a terrific response, really, by Spadea. Kuerten looking so good. Could quite easily have lost a little bit of heart. Kuerten got to contend with the sun as he throws the ball up, serving from this northern end. Contend not only with the sun, but the son of Spadea. Used to work for IBM at Spadea Senior. And then I believe was a cabaret singer as well.
A man of almost as many talents as your good self. There's that sinking feeling when you're a line judge. You make the call and then you look at the mark and you think, oh God, got that one wrong.
At least had the courage to admit it.
Yeah.
It's a lovely sweep, isn't it? It's like these cars with one wiper only.
Yeah, he's got long levers, isn't he? Long arms and long legs. Stick a racket on the end of the arms. Spadea much more compact in comparison, but still very effective. And it's the American who leads 2-1. Kuerten leads Spadea by a set love, but it's Spadea who leads 2-1. If you're just joining us, welcome to quarterfinals day at the Republic National Bank Monte Carlo Open. We started with thrilling quarter-final in which Felix Mantia, who'd had a match point in the second set, then saved 4 match points in the third, eventually won on a final set tiebreak over Albert Costa. And he now waits the winner of this match. Still to come, we've got Moyo against Omar, Philippoussis against Rios.
Well, it almost seemed as if Kuerten was challenging Spadea. He could see, or should have been able to see, that Spadea was coming in and just played it back nicely and gently. Perhaps he didn't spot him.
Trying to hook that lob around, but not succeeding. Wonderful muscle turn there in the Kuerten legs. This is some idea of how well trained these athletes are. And you really do have to be an athlete to compete at the highest level these days.
Yeah, speed about the court pretty essential. Quickness off the mark, of course, a great asset to have. A Spaniard at the top of the draw, Carlos Moya in action later, and a Spaniard at the bottom of the draw, Felix Monte, having beaten Costa. Interesting how Spain is now advertising at this time of the year. I wonder why. Costa winning in Estoril, Monte winning in Barcelona.
Was it Martin in Casablanca? I'm trying to see.
Yes, it was.
Yes, 3 clay court events played so far in '99 and 3 Spanish winners. Back-to-back love service games. We haven't had many of our favourite bedfellows this week. Spadea's lead is cut to 3-2, still with the break, of course. Incidentally, of course, extensive coverage to come over the weekend from Monte Carlo, and then our next men's tennis will be from Prague, starting on Thursday of next week, and following week we pick up on the next of the Mercedes Super 9s, the German Open from Hamburg, and we'll also have coverage of the WTA in Rome. So all roads leading up to, of course, the French Open towards the middle of and the end of next month, and extensive coverage of that on Eurosport. Yeah, we're going to have Annabelle Croft at our team in the French Open. Nothing personal, but I'm looking forward to sitting next to her.
Good, yes, it should be exciting. The French Open, I mean. Yes, you're talking about the love games, and I just made the point a couple of days ago to Simon how often it happens. It's a psychological thing, I'm sure, but it's there pretty frequently, and we had a couple with Kuerten and Melageni. Sure enough, I think there were 3 love games, but 2 of them were side by side. Well, Kuerten was bound to make a real effort, love 15, break down, trying to get back into this, and perhaps an injudicious shot really by Spadea. And then for some strange reason, just playing this one back to Kuerten, needed a lob really, although it would all have been fine, of course, if Kuerten had missed the forehand volley. It's certainly better to push back to the forehand volley than to a backhand volley as a rule.
He's missed it. Loves to play the extravagant, and so nearly made that one.
A long white streak on the court, but just beyond the line. A little rash there, Spadea. So the thing, you've just got to keep concentrating, and a couple of points here. He seems to have lost it.
And it's given Kuerten the opportunity to break back. opportunity which he seizes. 3-all.
So quick on both those occasions, even when he missed the drive volley, quickly into position to take advantage of a struggling opponent out of court, doesn't want him to get back into the middle, so rushes to the ball, plants the foot. Still got to keep the technique, of course, keep the form, which he does so well.
A third ace. Serve really beginning to flow now. Yeah, 4 first serves in, and a very rapid game. 2 love service games in a row for Gustavo Kuerten, and indeed the last 13 points, he's won 12 of them.
Yes, he's come on in a bit of a rush, isn't he? Looked awfully good, really taking advantage of just a little let up by Spadea. Always dangerous when you've got a hungry opponent, and even though Kuerten was a breakdown, having lost the opening service game of the set, he's always, to me, looked really eager to, as I say, repeat. Well, I know it's Monaco, but it's virtually French, this physically in France, and I'm sure France, in Kuerten's memory, will always be a special country, having won his first ever tournament at the French Open.
This is a spectacular setting, isn't it? New balls in play, and important for Spadea to make good use of them. He's lost the last 3 games. 3-4.
Ball perhaps flying just a little bit more as a result of the new balls.
Kuerten going for a change of racket. Don't know whether he's broken a string or there's one just about to go.
Uses synthetic gut, does Kuerten.
We have an unannounced visitor on the court. A pigeon has popped down on top of the net. Chased off by a little ball girl, I think she is. Difficult to tell under the hat.
Yes, they're terrific watching the doves, because this is obviously their residence here most of the year, and we get all these stands and people upsetting them during this week. Well, it was a desperate effort by Spadea. He felt he had to sort of chop at the ball.
Would have counted. He still had a grip on the racket. You're not allowed instantly, if the ball is passing you, to fling your racket at it and fluke it back. That doesn't count. The racket has to be in contact with your hand. Huge point now. Spadea, having been up a break, in grave danger of falling down a break, which would leave Kuerten to serve for the match.
Well, wise decision, I think, by Spadea, stopping in his tracks. He looked to wrong foot Kuerten, but once he played to the backhand, felt, oops, there was enough scope for Kuerten to pass, stood his ground.
No. Again, getting himself into a situation where he had to play a low volley.
Yes, Kuerten did so well to keep the backhand slice low.
And the Brazilian has another chance to secure what you would expect would be a decisive break.
Well, terrific play, almost irresistible, particularly when he's as good as he is at finishing on the forehand, Kuerten. Sometimes just lacks a little bit of bite with the forehand mid-court, but not today.
It's a really nice thing for Gustavo Kuerten, as if he can close this match out here, and it's a big if given what happened in the first match. He would have played for very nearly 2 hours less than the man he's got to play tomorrow. Oh yes, like an arrow. Oh, it's been called out. That's rubbish. Yeah, and overruled. It's right onto the line.
Keen to get to lunch, I suppose, the linesman. Well, he's had no success, has he? Those close encounters with Kuerten. Kuerten's come off the better each time. Well, there have been American winners here. Bill Tilden won this tournament in 1930. Frankie Parker in 49, Straight Clark 51, and Hank Stewart in 56. And then in 81 it was an unfinished final with Connors and Villas 5-all in the first rain stop play, and they've never have completed it.
Wonderful angles. It'll be fun to ask them to come back to do so now. I mean, they're both active on the seniors tour.
Yes, why not?
There's a little appetizer up to the main final. I'll have to suggest it to the club.
Yes, 2001, 20 years after the event.
Yeah.
Why not?
Spadea showing what a gutsy fighter he is. And he has a chance to break back.
It really is a class two-hander. Again, hugs it very close to the body.
Oh. Made to look ridiculously easy, it certainly wasn't.
A huge point by Kuerten, and how big was his forehand in this? Really controlling matters, and then after the big, the small and the effortless, but as you're saying, never easy.
Kuerten.
63 minutes gone, and Gustavo Kuerten reaches match point. And now we should expect the match to last at least another hour.
He wasn't going to give in an inch there, was he? It was just hammer and tong. You wonder how he can hit the ball so hard, both of them really, and control it so often.
Just wide. And it's match point for a second time. Oh, what a way to finish. So the greater clay court skills of Gustavo Kuerten come shining through in Spadea, though. Contributed, particularly when he got an early lead in the second set. And the American can look back on a fine debut in Monte Carlo. But Gustavo Kuerten can look forward to another enthralling encounter with Felix Monte of Spain.
Yes, I think the key really was Kuerten's ability to win points on his second serve against Meligeni. He won over 90%, a very high percentage. But today, not quite as effective behind the first serve, but certainly when it came to rallying. And I think that's very important, really, because what it means is that Kuerten off the ground is hitting the ball so well. We know he hits it hard. Today he was hitting it consistently. It's been a good tournament for Agassi, journeyman, Spadea that is. But when it comes to surfing the net on a clay court, this chap's a pretty stylish surfer, Kuerten.
Yes, Andre Agassi once called Vince Spadea a journeyman. Spadea responded by beating him next time out. Points won by Gustavo Kuerten, and again you'll notice a lot of the brighter colours on or inside the baseline. Impressive stuff. Quite a few approaches to the net. Spadea, well, pegged back rather more. We're going to take a commercial break, then we hope that Heinz Guntard will be talking to Gustavo Kuerten, And then, of course, we'll have the third of the quarterfinals for you. Jérôme Golmar taking on the defending champ. Been chatting with the on-court announcer, Mark Myrie. He'll be with Heinz Gunther in a moment. But let me tell you that Tim Henman and Olivier Delettre are through to the semi-finals of the doubles. 7-6 and 6-3. They've beaten the Italians Gaudenzi and Narciso. So the Scratch partnership continuing to go exceptionally well. Well, I can see that Gustavo is just making his way down towards Heinz Gunther. Well, the ground staff here at the Monte Carlo Country Club get the centre court ready for our third quarter-final. Right, I gather we're ready now for the interview with Gustavo Kuerten. Here's Heinz Gunther.
We're back in Monte Carlo with Gustavo Kuerten, who won in straight sets over Vincent Spadea. You must be very happy to get this one under your belt in only 1 hour and 4 minutes. You're going to play Felix Monte. He played 2 hours and 46 minutes. Were you watching that match?
Yeah, I was almost ready to play, like I think 12:30. He was leading easily, and then I had to wait maybe 1 more hour to get to my match, because they really play great tennis and a lot of hours in the court. But yesterday too, I played 1 singles, 2 doubles, so it was good for me to save some energy for tomorrow. I think I still have some more power to show in tomorrow.
Oh, we're certainly going to expect a long one. But before that match, I was watching you playing ping ball. You look very relaxed. As a matter of fact, it seems to me, in general, this week, you're very relaxed. Much more relaxed, let's say, than you were like a year ago. Is that an impression I have? Is this wrong? Is this correct?
Yeah, I think it's right. I've been playing much more loosely this year. I mean, I'm learning about the tour. I think I'm enjoying more. I know the place already, so I really try to not only enjoy the court, but live a good life outside the court too. So I think all this year long I've been doing this, and it's been great for me. Now I just want to have more fun tomorrow. I'm pleased to become here and be part of the semi-final in this big tournament. So let's give it all tomorrow and try to go to the final.
When you won the French Open, it just seemed that afterwards, as an outsider, that you were expecting very much from yourself, and you weren't enjoying yourself as much. Is that something that's bound to happen when you win your first Grand Slam, that maybe afterwards you're just everybody expecting so much from you that you yourself have a hard time handling it?
Yeah, I think for sure that I wasn't ready, to have a very good results in a row. So maybe myself, I just want to get so much thing from me that I just forget about my life too, about relax in the court and enjoy the match. So it was a tough like half or 1 year for me, but I learned in the circuit. I start to see it's not only one tournament. You have all the year to play. So I think years pass, you get more things, and that's why I'm learning and playing better and better.
Well, thank you very much, Gustavo. It's nice to hear that you're having fun again. We're certainly having fun watching you. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow, probably for quite a long time. Thank you very much, and with that, back upstairs.
Thanks, Heinz. Yes, always a pleasure to watch Gustavo Kuerten. Now we're looking forward to our next quarter-final, Carlos Moya and Jérôme Golmar. It's been a pleasure to be a part of your commentary team during the Monte Carlo Open this year, and I'm now going to leave you in the very capable hands of Prue McMillan and Simon Reed for the rest of the tournament.